right, so here's the rudder, and it's got an interior piece, and I've colored the outside edge. There's two pieces, slits of paper that are supposed to go on it, on the top and bottom, but I didn't bother. I sanded these down to give them sort of an airfoil shape almost. That little slot is where the pole's going to go to fit in the rudder into the submarine. And I made that out of heated pulled sprue, which you've seen me do before. You just get a flame, you pull a piece of plastic, melt it, pull it, and to the right thickness, and there you be. So there's my little pivot, and that's going to fit right in there. I'll super glue that in, and then super glue the whole mess into the hull. I gotta say hull instead of fuselage. I'm so used to saying fuselage. So anyway, all you do here is glue these little guys together. Put glue on both sides, squeeze them together, and make a shape. Again, there was edging after I put it together. There was edging that's supposed to go on the top and the bottom of the rudder of paper to clean it up. But I figure you're not going to see that much anyway. It looks, I've already got the dark color on there. It's going to be okay. Plus, I have it so thinned out that there's parts that almost the paper basically seals together. So I'm not that worried about it. It looks just fine for the girls we date. Um, so make sure that dries down, and then you put in the little pin. I'm just making sure. Once I put that together, I couldn't even find it, and oh yeah, there it is. And I've already checked to see how high it has to be because it goes into a component on the skeleton on the hull in a hole that's there as well. So a little bit of super glue, and I just slide it right in, and it dries very quickly. And just make sure it's straight up and down and vertical. And so you've got, you know, when you put it in that pivot, it's gonna fit the right way and not be crooked because you want to have it as uncrooked as possible. Then you are going to stick it into the underside here. There's a little hole back there, way back when I skinned that without showing you, I think. And then this fits like so. He's going to make sure you get which direction it's supposed to go. And so in that case, I need to cut that a little bit more, I think, in order to get it up in there. So cut a little bit more off, slide it in, check it, and then I get a nice fit like that. So that's good. So now you do the same old thing. You add a little super glue to this, and you put it up in there. And, oh yes, one last little trim. And now she's touching. And I think that's probably good, even though it didn't touch, in real life, it has to move. But I think that gives me a little more surface and a little more strength. Because I do find of the other submarines I've made two others, you put stuff on these things, you're always constantly breaking them off. So making sure it's straight, making sure it's vertical. I had some problem getting it vertical because I'm pushing it back a little bit like that. What I ended up doing was forcing it back and then hitting it with a little bit of zip kicker, and that held it in place, which is fine. There I'm pushing it with my thumb, and I hit it with a little bit of the zip kicker. Oh, you didn't see it. There's the brush at the very edge there. But now it's in. There it is, straight, ready to go. Kind of an odd-looking rudder, but that's the actual way it's supposed to be. Now, dive planes. These are very simple. There's no cardboard in them. You basically cut them out, cut out that little circle where you're going to put your pins, and score along some lines that they have. They're going to be places where you bend the top and bottom surface over, and then you're going to sandwich those little strips of paper in between or along the top, whatever fits, really, it turns out, whatever looks good. So this is poorly done. You can't see what's going on, but I edited a lot of the really bad stuff out. Ooh, I missed that. There we go. Basically, I'm just making sure it's going to fit, come together, and then those pieces get rolled over into the correct areas, and you can see how it's going to go. That gets rolled over like that and gets fit in between. So all I do is add some glue into those areas where those thin strips are going to go first, and then I add a little glue around the edges on one side, and that's going to give us glue surface around the edge. And these planes are very, very thin, but the base with that piece of paper sticking in between, that slot of paper with like the circle on it, that gives them a little bit of girth, and that makes them look actually pretty realistic. And because you've already cut, or not cut, but sort of embossed the bends, the bending is nice and straight, and trust me, it looks pretty good. There you can kind of see it. Um, I'm just going to color that, even though you won't see it. Color that with my little bit of my touch-up. And there's a couple places where you can touch up with paint or a marker or watercolor or whatever you're using. Got to do a little bit of work here because it didn't quite go together. But you're basically just putting those together and making sure that it looks okay. I could have sanded this down, but in this case I decided to just kind of draw along the edge, and that's going to be okay. I can maybe take that one since it's got funniness and put it on the back on the other side. Made a pin just like before, add it just like before, let it dry just like before, making sure it's straight, and then put it into the, I almost said fuselage again, put it into the hull. So here I'm putting a little bit of glue on there. I've tested this, it is the right length, and I'm just going to go ahead and making sure it's oriented the correct way, because these are the forward planes. And so there's one side, I already put the other side on. And then you just go ahead and slide this in. As long as you put all your pieces correctly, on there correctly, they should line up. So I take a little bit of time here to make sure it's straight and to make sure it is lined up. And there it is. Looks pretty good. Now, I need to put that little triangular piece. See that little triangle that's on the leading edge? That piece right there. That needs to go in there. And that's a little piece that's been color edged. And you just fold it over and glue it together. Here I'm embossing it a little bit so that it will fold nicely. And then you just put some glue on it, fold it together and squeeze it shut. It's a flat piece. It doesn't have any shape per se. So you just make sure it lines up so you don't see any white. And once that's good, you add your glue and squish it together. And then we're going to stick it on the side of the right in front of that other plane. And that will look just great. And I'm not sure what it is. It's some kind of fairing. But whatever it is, it makes it look cleaner. Makes it look pretty cool. So squeezing that shut just like we always do, and then orienting this the correct way so that I can then put glue on the end and slide it right up in there. So that's the way I want it. I'll put glue around that edge. I put like 4 gallons of glue, I think, here. Yeah, but I take it off. And that is going to give me a nice place to adhere to that leading edge. And there it is. And there's a dark spot. I'm not doing it by eye. There's actually a little dark place where you're supposed to put this. And based on the pictures, it's supposed to be right up against the fin, the leading edge of that fin. So this one, for instance, I put it in and it's a little bit, it's not quite touching, or it's not quite close enough. So this is 1/200 scale, so I figure even if it's touching, it probably would have a space in it, and that's fine. But there it is, and then that finishes off the front planes. And the rear planes are slightly different shape, but they're absolutely identical how you put them on. So this last little clip just shows them done, and they worked well, just like the front ones. There they are. Same thing, hole in the back, piece of sprue for a little pivot point. Those are kind of, I like their shape. They're kind of pretty looking. They're very small, considering how big this thing is. The rudder's big, the front planes are big, the rear planes are kind of wimpy. But there they are all together, looking good. And now I think all those numbers on the hull, on the deck, those are where things, various little accoutrements go. But I think we're going to start the screws.